Hello there. Join me today. I'm on the banks of my local River Ouse. I'm on a bit that's controlled by Beet Sports and Social Club, commonly known as 4 Mil Wash. It's a members only bit of water. There's no day tickets on here. And the main reason I've decided to come here today is the river has been right out of sorts of late. Proper tanking through, chocolate coloured, but it's just been starting to fine off the last couple of days. We've fished this area in the past and had a few bream, so I thought this morning, come down here, just fish one rod, fish a feeder, keep plonking it in the same place every time, and hopefully get 1 or 2 fish. I have had a couple of big skimmers, and I've dropped one off, so I know there's 1 or 2 fish in the area, and I've had 1 or 2 indications as well. So hopefully as the session goes on, namely into the latter part of the afternoon, maybe 1 or 2 more fish might grace the net. Like I say, all I'm doing is fishing a feeder. I've started off by putting out that sort of size feeder. That's 1.5 ounces. Get plenty of bait in, some chopped worm, plenty of ground bait in the swim, and I've now just dropped down a size to that sort of size feeder. I've dropped to 1 ounce, but the flow's dropped right off now because I think they've shut the gates down at Denver because the tide's coming in and the water level's risen a tiny bit, so it's dropped the flow off a little bit. There's still a little bit of weed about, but it's definitely dropped the flow off, and I'm actually using 3/4 ounce, which compared to a week ago you'd have needed 4 ounces just to hold bottom. So like I say, just one rod, one method, and keep it going in the same place every single time. Just had a little drop back bite there. So at the moment I'm fishing 3 dead maggots on a size 16 matrix SW feeder hook. I've got a 012 Aspire silk shock hook length. I've got a number 8 shot there, about 3.5 inches above the hook. What that's doing is actually keeping any weed away from the hook, so it keeps the hook bait nice and clear. Got that joined by a quick change swivel bead there. I've got about 4 inches of twizzled loop, small shock bead, 2-inch running link, and up above that running link, probably about 6 inches, is again a number 8 shot to keep any weed about off the feeder. I'm fishing a 5-pound main line, and today the rod I've chosen to use is the Cadence CR10 13-foot feeder. It's the number 3 feeder, which is the heavier one out the range. Because the flow's eased off a little bit, it's not as fast as I thought it would be. I'm actually using a 2-ounce tip, and I've coupled that with a CR10 4000 reel, like I say, with 5-pound main line. So it's a perfect setup. If it does pick up the flow and I need a heavier tip, I can put a heavier tip in this rod. Like I say, I've got a 2-ounce tip. I've also got a 3 and a 4-ounce tip if needed, and coupled with the 4000 reel, it's a perfect setup. So we'll get this back out into the swim, see if we can catch a fish. I'm fishing about 1/2 to 3, just up past 3 parts, 2/3 the way across the river. It's about 10 foot deep. So even though I'm fishing a light feeder, I'm still fishing with a little bit of a bow. As you can see, there's a lovely swim. Got the entrance to the EA pit opposite there. A bit of an island. I've just got the rod up in the air with a little bit of a bow. On the ground bait front, what I'm using is Beet Omen and Beet Cult Carp Super Sweet Fish Meal. Mixing the two together, I think, is a good bream mix. I've had success with it in the past, as I know other anglers have as well. So with a little bit of colour in the water, a little bit of movement, I decided on that mix. I've got some red maggots. I've also got some pinkies. And I've got some worm. A few feeders by the side of me. Spare hook lengths, because you never know, you might get snagged up, any weed on the bottom. And also with the colour in the water, you never know what you're going to hit. There's also a chance in this area that it might get a tench. So another drop back bite there. So it looks as though there might be one or two fish starting to move now. Yes, just nicked one of the maggots. Probably bumped into the feeder as well. So hopefully there might be one or two fish starting to move in the swim now. And get a few skimmers. Look, so I'm just letting that sink. Feel when it hits the bottom. Then just releasing 3 or 4 turns off the reel. Just to create that bow in the line. So we've had a couple of bites there in quite quick succession. So hopefully now might be able to hit the next one. So just sort of just creating that bit of a bow in the line there. And I've got the rod pointing downstream just a little bit, just to pick up on that bow. Like I say, hopefully the flow will pick up just a little bit soon. And maybe a bit heavier feeder on, because I'm sure that the bream do like that little bit of extra flow. So at the moment there's 1 or 2 fish, I think they're just moving in, moving out, having a bit of a munch. But we'll get a head down now and see how we get on. We get a cup of coffee poured out. You never know, we might hit the next one. Most importantly, old cup of coffee. Say -2 this morning. Sun's starting to come out now. Hopefully, like I say, get to the latter part of the session and I might get in a bit of a confident mood and get 1 or 2. Checking in a bit and see how we go on. Just had a little tap then. Thought it was the flow. Tis a fishy. It's a little skin bob. Plenty of fight in it. There we go. Lovely skimmer. See the worm there. Oh, definitely wanted it. There we go. Beautiful. winter's day little skimmer along the Ouse 4mm wash. Oosh. Well, getting close to the latter part of the session now, and hasn't been too bad. I've had 5 big skimmers. Dropped that, like I say, I've dropped that one fish off, but all in all it's been a decent session, to be fair. The way the river's been the last sort of couple of weeks, the water's extremely cold, so I'm quite happy with the way it's sort of gone, really. Yeah, I'd like a few more fish and maybe the odd 1 or 2 bream, but beggars can't be choosers. Like I say, the pace has picked up a little tiny bit since we last spoke, but still got the rod up high, as you can see there. I've had a couple of fish on the worm. The rest have come to treble dead red maggot. So like I say, we're in the latter sort of part now. The sun's starting to disappear off a little bit. It's still got a little bit of warmth in it, which is nice. So I'm still quite confident we might get maybe 1 or 2 more, but you never can tell. But all in all, it's been quite eventful. Like I say, 5 decent skimmers, 5 more than what I could have had if the river had been in a worse condition. But you've got to get out here and give it a go. So hopefully might get 1 or 2 more. The river is actually starting to recede a little bit now. But in the last sort of hour, I bet the levels dropped off about an inch or so. And where it wasn't moving in front of me, it's now starting to move through again. So more likely have to put a bit heavier feeder on shortly. So I'm starting to pick up a little bit of weed again, so it's definitely starting to trip through. But we haven't given up all in vain yet. Probably about another hour, then we'll be heading off. So if you've been out on the bank, hopefully you've had a few, and catch you next time around. Oosh.